Welcome to GoodNight Tales.
Once upon a time, in a small village, there lived a humble and kind-hearted shoemaker. He was known for his skill in crafting beautiful shoes. But despite his hard work, he was very poor. The shoemaker and his wife were struggling to make ends meet, and they only had enough leather left to make one last pair of shoes. One evening, the shoemaker cut the leather for the shoes and left it on his workbench, planning to finish them the next morning. But as he was so tired, he decided to go to bed early. The next morning, to his astonishment, the shoemaker found a perfectly finished pair of shoes on his workbench. The stitching was immaculate, the design was exquisite, and the leather was polished to a fine sheen. The shoemaker was amazed by the craftsmanship, as it was far superior to anything he had ever made. That day, a wealthy customer came into the shop, and as soon as he saw the beautiful shoes, he purchased them immediately at a high price. With the money he earned, the shoemaker was able to buy enough leather to make 2 more pairs of shoes. That evening, just as before, he cut the leather and left it on his workbench, intending to finish the shoes the next day. But again, when he woke up in the morning, the shoes were already made, more perfect than anything he could have created himself. The pattern continued, night after night. The shoemaker would leave the leather out, and each morning, he would find beautifully crafted shoes ready for sale. As word spread about the shoemaker's extraordinary shoes, his business flourished, and he and his wife were no longer poor. One night, the shoemaker and his wife decided to stay up and hide in the workshop to discover who their mysterious helpers were. They hid behind a curtain and waited quietly. At midnight, to their amazement, they saw 2 tiny elves enter the workshop. The elves were dressed in tattered clothes, and they worked swiftly and skillfully, stitching and crafting the shoes with their delicate hands. The shoemaker and his wife were filled with gratitude. They realized that the elves had been helping them all this time out of pure kindness. They wanted to repay the elves for their generosity, so they decided to make them new clothes. The next evening, instead of leaving out the usual leather, the shoemaker and his wife left tiny outfits for the elves, little jackets, trousers, and boots. When the elves arrived at midnight, they found the clothes. They were overjoyed and immediately put them on. The new clothes fit perfectly, and the elves looked very smart indeed. With happy smiles and a twinkle in their eyes, the elves danced around the room, singing with joy. After that night, the elves were never seen again. The shoemaker and his wife continued to prosper, and they lived happily ever after, always remembering the kindness of the little elves.